So welcome back everybody, this is John with SwingFit. In today's video, we're going to take a little left turn. We're going to take a small detour from the current product releases to talk about a driver you probably have never tried before, but should definitely be on your short list if you happen to be in the market for a brand new driver, especially when you compare it to the prices of the current drivers that's just now hitting the streets. Not only do we love this driver for its cost, but we also love it for its customizations. And we're going to share how one small $60 investment could potentially be the difference maker to help you take your game to a whole nother level. So without further ado, let's jump in to find out exactly what this money saver is. So before we peel back the layers to help you understand not only how we can help you save a little money and take your game to another level, I first off want to welcome any new viewers that's out there. So if this is your first time or if you're just passing through, do yourself a favor. Consider hitting that subscribe button below, smash that bell, so this way you will receive an alert each and every single week when we drop our new content, just like in today's video. And of course, we're talking about this bad boy right here, the PXG 0811 prototype driver. Now, although this thing has been out on the market for several months now, we just recently had the opportunity to get our hands on it and we couldn't be happier. Not only does it look the part, it sounds good, feels good, but at $375, this thing is an absolute steal. And definitely when you factor in all the different ways you can actually fine tune and customize this driver, this is an unbelievable price for what you get, especially if you can actually take full advantage of the extra driver weight package that is available to you. And that's exactly what the customer did in tonight's video. So we had a customer that already had an 0811 driver. He bought the extra weight kit, came into us and wanted to know if there was anything we can do to help him find some extra yards by fine tuning his driver. So let's take a look at the customer's baseline shots to see where he actually was starting at. And when you took a look at those shots, really wasn't anything to shake a stick at, and none of those shots really left the customer in a bad position. And the customer said, you know, really, he never loses balls. He's always piping it in. He's finding the right side of the golf course, which isn't his typical shot shape. He said usually he likes to play a little right to left draw, but ever since being in this driver, he just hasn't been able to recreate it. When you take a look at the numbers below, once again, these numbers are pretty decent. You know, 138 ball speed, 2400 spin, you know, 236 carry, 257 total. You know, really, really good. And if there's anything I can actually, you know, pick at, would be the ball speed versus club speed separation. You know, for 98, 99 mile an hour input, really would like to see the customer's output to be north of 140. And I know by moving these weights around, I can actually affect CG, not only to affect the curvature, but potentially maybe even just make it a little bit hotter. So let's take a look at the customer's current driver setup, so this way you know exactly what's before and after. So when you look at the bottom of the driver here, he's got the 15 gram weight in the front. The other three weights are all 2.5 grams. So that's a total of 22.5 grams in the bottom of the driver. And in order to protect the swing weight, what we're going to do is we're going to swap out that front weight for a 12.5 gram, and then we're going to put a 5 gram weight in the heel to see if we can speed up that face rotation. So let's take a look at these shots to see how it helped. Now, as we see from that series of shots, it's completely night and day difference. We went from always missing right to now we're actually helping the customer cross over the center line, but we're a little too far to the left. So we almost introduced an issue by making the changes that we did, and here we just overcorrected. And here's a little golden nugget for you, is anytime you happen to see an overcorrection like this, then try doing the exact opposite to see what its impact is. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep that same 12.5 in the front, and we're simply going to just move the 5 gram weight from the heel to the toe side to see how much it slows down that face rotation. So let's take a look at these shots. once again, all we did was move the weight from the heel side to the toe side, but it was just enough to move that ball a little closer to the center line. So let's take a look at the compare tab, because there is something I want to point out to you or bring to your attention, and just to show you how similar these series of shots actually were. So when we take a look at the numbers here, I mean, left or right, I mean, ball speed, really dang on close in proximity. Launch, really close. Backspin is probably the only outlier here where there is a fair amount of fluctuation here. You know, definitely as we progress, you know, spin has gotten lower. But take a look at the carry and the total numbers. I mean, these things are almost neck and neck, dead even. I mean, really, we haven't been able to affect the customer's distance whatsoever, but we have been able to influence where the ball ended up. I mean, literally, let's do a quick recap here. So red was the initial baseline. That was all the mass up front, no weight correction in heel or toe. That was the furthest to the right. The second series of shots was the green line. That was weight in heel, and that was furthest to the left. The third series is the orange line, and that was weight in the toe, closest to the center line. But once again, the only thing we've been able to affect was right to left curvature. You know, we haven't been able to create any extra energy, and I'm really still searching for those north of 140, 142 type of ball speed outputs to get a little extra output. And there's a couple different ways we can go about doing so. One is through loft, right? Lower loft definitely can help you get hotter ball speeds, but in this situation with the customer already being at 9 degrees, I definitely don't want to take loft down, because all that's going to do is open up the face, and that's just going to bring the right side back in. So here, the next best thing is add more mass. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the 5 gram in the toe, but we're going to take out the 12.5 and put in the 15 gram back in the center port, or that front port. And by doing so, we're adding an extra 2.5 grams of mass. It doesn't seem like a lot, but we're going to try it just to see if it has any effect. So let's take a look at these shots to see what the impact is. And on the 4th attempt, we freaking nailed it. This is what we've been searching for all night. Now, nice little right to left draw, little extra pop, little extra carry, and all it took was an extra 2.5 grams in that front port. And literally, we never know how much it's going to take. And, you know, some people say, well, why didn't you just leave the 15 gram in there to begin with? Well, we want to minimize the variables, and I'm not trying to introduce other things by adding extra swing weight. So we're always going to try to, you know, minimize those things and doing a bite-sized chunks. And really, truth be told, we was prepared to go round 6, round 7 until we got the results that we needed. But after this, we didn't need to. So let's take a look at the compare tab just to see how we was actually able to get there. Now, as we start to peel these numbers back, the first thing that pops out is that ball speed spike. We knew if we was going to help the customer hit the ball any farther, we had to improve that number, and we was able to do so by adding a little extra mass to the bottom of that head. Now, it's just not as much as adding the mass to the bottom of the head as it is then improving the quality of strike. And as when you see this picture, literally, customer stamping everything out of the center of face, and that's where we know max ball speed lives. But then when we take a look back at the rest of the numbers there, launch really identical to some of the other numbers we've seen, backspin checking in at 2063, but that carry number picking up an extra 15 yards of carry. Now, the total distance wasn't that big of a story here, but it was the carry here, okay? So total, it was only netting the customer an extra 7 yards total, but carry was 15. Why is that important? Well, you know, how many times you get into the situations where you got to fly over a waste bunker, water, you know, sand traps, whatever it may be, get over trouble. You know, you want to be able to get that ball out there so that way, depending on course conditions, you might get lucky and you get a little extra roll, but you got to get it out there to begin with. So definitely carrying it a little bit farther isn't a bad thing at all. But once again, this is exactly what the customer wanted. Hit the ball a little bit farther, get that little right to left draw, and all it took was manipulating the weights in the bottom of this driver to breathe new life into it. So in closing, if you are in the market looking for a new driver, then definitely give the PXG prototype driver a strong look because of all the customization that we share with you tonight. And at this price point, this is a very strong contender. So if you have any questions or comments, do me a favor, leave them in the remarks below, and don't forget to click on one of these videos over here to the left because there just might be a couple golden nuggets over there that can potentially help you take your game to another level. So until next week, thanks for watching.